With me now is Guli Dolev-Hashiloni, who is with the African Refugee Development Center. Talk to me about the impact of the lockdown, people who cannot go to work, and also the environment at home where the infection rates must be higher.
First of all, the issue with the African asylum seeker community in Israel is the fact that they have no support networks. They are excluded from the unemployment benefits. They are not. They do not receive any kind of grant or allowances which the Israelis receive. So I think the main problem with them is not the medical problem, but the financial problem. They're in a very dire state.
Do they have access to tests if they feel sick? Do they have health insurance? I mean, what kind of health protections are refugees or asylum seekers getting now in Israel?
Israel allows every habitant of Israel to get tested regardless of his status, which is a great deal. But again, it's not sufficient, because once they, for example, they get a positive test, most of them live in a very crowded apartment, so they can't really quarantine at home.
It's not realistic. It's not possible to be able to isolate in the living environment. So with this 3-week lockdown, what is the impact going to be? What are the fears that you're hearing from asylum seekers and refugees?
The fears are hunger, evictions from home, bankruptcy. Those are people who don't have, it's not only the legal support which is not given to them, but it's also the fact that they don't have any family behind them. They have no one to rely on, and they are completely isolated. They were deprived of any kind of help, and it seems like we'll see more and more people pushed away from their homes and moving to the streets. This in turn can have very bad effects on their health, on the population in the neighborhoods in which they're going to live. You know, they're not going to disappear. How
many people are we talking about? I mean, even here in Tel Aviv, it's thousands of families, correct?
It's 30,000 adults and a few thousand children.
The lessons, perhaps, that you saw in the first lockdown in the spring, which also lasted about 3 weeks, a little bit more. What did you see then that perhaps can help families struggling, who will struggle with this second lockdown that begins on Friday?
Well, during the first lockdown, something very important happened. For years, a part of each salary that the asylum seeker was given was confiscated into something which was called a deposit, as a part of the deposit law. And during the first lockdown, half of the deposit funds were open, which gave quite a lot of money to the community.
This is money that was just automatically taken by the state into a separate fund because these were refugees or asylum seekers. The state was able to just take money out.
Yeah, in order to, you know, convince them to leave Israel, although it was never really possible. Anyhow, now it's not a possibility at all. You know, the skies are closed. So it is the situation in the population. I'm sure that right now, if there will be another form of financial support, the community will be much better. For example, opening the other half of the deposit fund, which is
that what you're pressing for now?
Yeah, definitely.
Guli, I want to ask, I mean, at the African Refugee Development Center, the families that you're working with, do they feel like they're being left behind, that there's demonstrations from different sectors, the entertainment sector, the artistic and cultural and restaurants? Do they feel completely abandoned by society?
Definitely. It has a lot to do, like you said, with the fields of employment. The two main workplaces of refugees in Israel are restaurants and hotels. Those are among, you know, all of them are supposed to be completely shut down next week. Restaurants are going to be open only for deliveries, I think.
That's the word now, that delivery only, no in-person customers.
Yeah, so it will mean that all of them will be fired. Other industries, you know, such as people working in the public sector, things like that, are less affected by the crisis. And it's true that the industries in which the asylum seekers work don't have a strong lobby, and they feel completely abandoned. Nobody hears them, nobody.
And it could be, and you mentioned the fear is drive people to homelessness, the evictions, the lack of income. Families already struggling will be put on the streets.
We already see it. It's not a fear, it's already happening.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you putting this to light and the work that you're doing, again, with the African Refugee Development Center. Guli, thank you so much for bringing attention to this issue. Great to have you on the show today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.